So welcome everyone to our 2022 Dean's Research Seminar. But this month's seminar is traditionally, we hold the school's research impact competition. I'll talk a little bit more about that shortly, but first I'd like to acknowledge that today's meeting is being held on the country of the Darug, Eora, Darawal, also referred to as Tharawal, and Wiradjuri peoples, and acknowledge their ancestors who have been traditional owners of their country for thousands of years. And I'd like to pay my respect to their elders past and present and thank them for their support of our work on the lands of Greater Western Sydney and beyond. So thank you. Thank you for joining us. As I started by saying that this month's research seminar is our research impact competition. And I might just share screen because it it will be a little, so share screen. Yeah, this one makes probably a little bit more sense than what I'm saying. And so, okay, could you tell me, has the first slide come up about the research impact competition? Yeah.
Yes.
So I thought I'd put that up because I think it gives a nice overview of when we're talking about research impact and what it is that we're talking about. In this case, the research impact competition is really looking at a researcher's ability to communicate in an understandable way their research, what the problem was and why they've addressed it. And the judges will also be looking at engagement, how they engage with the end users of the research or potential for engagement, and obviously the last one about impact. So you're probably all reading through those criteria as they're the judging criteria you can see there. So this year we have 3 judges. 2 of them will be well known to you. So Professor Hannah Darwin, our Associate Dean Research and HDR, Professor Anna Williams, our newest Professor of Aging and Aged Care. I hope I got that title right, Anna. I should have looked it up before the meeting. And Dr. Mike Amor, who may not be as well known, he's well known to some of us, and he's also, so Mike is from Nickham. He's a winner of one of the 2021 University Excellence Awards last year. So congratulations, Mike, on that. And Mike's research is in the area of health and wellbeing. So I think he's most well known, or I know him mostly for his work looking at endometriosis, and but he's also well known for his work in the area of cannabis. And I know that one of our staff is actually researching in that area as well. So Mike has been an entrant in the university research impact competition in, I can't remember, maybe a couple of years ago, was it, Mike?
2018.
2018, yeah. And so Mike will be chairing the judging panel. And so we have
did win, Bronwyn.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I knew that because I've been at all of them every year for years now. So thank you for
no worries.
Yes, I'm very sorry for not adding. So we have a great panel of judges and we have 2 presenters. So first, I just want to wish Sheija and Leanne all the best for their presentation. So regardless of who wins, and the other will obviously be the runner-up, I think anyone who puts their hand up for something like this is amazing. And so thanks so much for doing this, and I think you're stars and winners just for putting your hands up actually to present at the Dean's Research Seminar this month. Sheija will be going first. Each speaker has 5 minutes and they have 1 slide. I'll be sharing their slide, and the speakers will be timing. I will time, but they will be timing themselves as well, because in the past when we've done this by Zoom, it's just been a little bit disruptive when I've tried to hold up a sign, say you've got 2 minutes to go or 1 minute to go. So they've got their timers already. So Sheija, are you ready if I start sharing your slide?
Yes, I am.
Okay,
Thanks.
all right, great. So we'll just move on. All right, so is your slide up, Sheija?
Yes, thanks.
Okay, all right. So I'm happy for you to start whenever you're ready.
Thanks, Bronwyn. They know the names of their chemo instead of their classmates. Nurses and doctors are their new family. Their laughter will make a heart melt. Their strength will make a grown person cry. If you've ever seen a child or young person fight cancer, it will change your life forever. Many life trajectories are set in place during adolescence and young adulthood. Then imagine a young person being hit by cancer during this period and having to cope with understanding their diagnosis and treatment-related side effects, worrying about the fear of recurrence, delayed preparation for higher education or career goals due to absence from school, and adding to that the last 2 years with pandemic and isolation. As a pediatric nurse, I always wanted to make a difference and alleviate the suffering of children and young people with chronic illness, especially young people with cancer. So I conducted an integrative review, now published in a leading Q1 cancer nursing journal, that identified one promising avenue for psychosocial support is mindfulness-based interventions. This is the practice of noticing our thoughts, feelings, and physical sensations in the present moment without any judgment. The review reported mindfulness program to be useful but expensive. Available programs require face-to-face attendance and are generally not tailored to meet age-related or cancer-specific stressors. Working in collaboration with academics within the university, industry partners, and international experts, I led the development of an online trauma-informed mindfulness program, which uses case study-based videos that support the cancer journey of young people. A user-centered design approach guided the program development by involving the young people, their carers, and health providers. The program was piloted with 20 young people, and we are excited to find that the tailored intervention has multiple benefits for young people with cancer. These benefits included improved mindfulness and quality of life and reduced depressive symptoms and stress. Furthermore, young people found it easy to use, as one of the participants, Lena, expressed. It's easy to follow and navigate information within privacy of own home and at own pace. A lot of the things helped me to slow things down and to get back into the moment and appreciate what's happening in the moment. I can proudly say that my research is making a positive psychosocial impact, as the young people with cancer who used the program, both from Australia and New Zealand, reported that it was effective in addressing their unique needs. We can see the impact as the champions for this program. The young people who were involved in its development have now recommended the program to their peers through social media outlets. As a result, I'm now collaborating with Canteen, Australia's leading youth cancer organization, which provides evidence-based support to young people impacted by cancer and their families. Canteen is partnering with me in a funded project to convert this program into a mobile application and to conduct an extensive trial with a view to adopt this program as standard care. In terms of moving forward, we intend to have this program endorsed by the Cancer Council and make it available for young people with cancer in Australia and globally, even in resource-poor countries, as this evidence-based program does not require professional expertise. And my hope is that this program will provide strength to young people to face cancer head-on and mindfully. Thank you.
Thank you. That's great, Sheija. I think you came in just under time, so that was wonderful. Okay, are the judges okay? If would you like a minute to take notes, more notes, or can I move to the next speaker?
Just give us 1 minute, Bronwyn. Just
yep,
1 minute.
Okay, 1 minute. Yep. All right, so our next speaker is Dr. Leanne Hunt. Just move the, okay, and Leanne's presentation will be on 24/7 clinical placements. So thank you, Leanne, when you're ready.
Morning, everyone. So yes, my talk today is on 24/7 clinical placements. It was a partnership between the university or the School of Nursing and Southwest Sydney LHD, where we were approached by them to participate. We also received a partnership grant, so 7,000 each from the LHD and from the university, so we appreciate that. So really, from a university perspective, we undertook the project to try and create more clinical placements. And from a LHD perspective, they created it for that reason as well, but also to learn to support staff a little bit better. So we've got about 5,000 students. Sometimes it's more, often it's more, sometimes it's less. And the number going through placement varies depending on progression, you know, leaving the program, leave of absence, a pick and mix program that they undertake. So for those 5,000 students who have satisfactorily completed 800 hours of clinical placement to be eligible for registration, is about 4 million hours of clinical placement in 3 years. So that's about 1.3 million hours per year. And what we actually have a shortfall of per year is 1.1 million hours. All right, so we have quite a shortfall of placements. So placements generally occur Monday to Friday, which is odd because nursing doesn't occur like that. And we tend to only allocate to AM and PM shifts. So we miss out on weekends, public holidays, and night shifts. So there's a hell of a lot of unused hours there. Normally placements from a registered nurse's point of view is and a student's point of view, sorry, is that they get a different registered nurse every day. So every day the students got to introduce themselves, restate their goals, rebuild a relationship, rebuild trust, learn the nuances of the individual. And the registered nurse also has to learn all of that every day as well. So this is both unsatisfying for the student and the registered nurse. Skills aren't built upon or developed sequentially for the student, and the registered nurses are caught just churning skills through rather than truly teaching the underpinning principles and building on that knowledge over time. So what the FAB model means and what FAB actually means itself is that it stands for facility at base. So rather than us supplying the facilitator is supplied by the facility, and they're generally employed and just moved off the ward to look after the students. So they've got a vested interest in the hospital. They have a lot of access to the hospital. So this model was that students were allocated to a registered nurse for their entire placement. That included nights, weekends, and public holidays. Staff were supported by a liaison person. They attended workshops pre this, and they could have undertaken a preceptor program, although I acknowledge that many did not choose to undertake this preceptor program. It was also sorry, I've just seen Mike's comment on racism. I'm not sure what that's about. Okay, so sorry, I've lost my train of thought. So the impact really is that overall, because students were allocated to a one-to-one staff member, the inpatient unit, so it was allocated to a primary healthcare setting, which probably wasn't the best thing. They don't do nights generally. They tend not to do public holidays either. So for the inpatient unit, staff were satisfied with their workload, professional support, their prospects, because if you're training people, that also improves your future prospects in terms of moving up to an education role, etc. They were satisfied with the training that was provided to them. And of course, they had personal satisfaction as well. The number of available placements increased by 88 hours per week, right? Now, remember, that doesn't sound like a lot, but this is just one hospital. So if this was expanded across all of our hospitals and all of our local health districts, the number would be far greater. But it did equate to 4,500 odd hours per year per student, all right? So 36,500 hours per year increased placements just in that one facility. Staff feel like they're contributing some way rather than on an ad hoc basis. They've got ownership, they invest in the relationship. And from the student's point of view, they have a sense of belonging, feeling part of the group. They build up a relationship. It may also increase their employability because they've done some night shift, and that seemed to be an issue for facilities. And just the final quote is, this is from a registered nurse, build a relationship and a rapport that was quite rewarding. So they felt as though nursing staff, the effort they put in, they were going to see some sort of feedback, positive or negative, from it. And that's all. And I've gone over time. You didn't shut me up.
Okay, thank you, Leanne. Thank you. I guess a big issue finding clinical placements for students, and it's nice to see the positive feedback there, and I guess down the track maybe looking at what the patient's experience is of having nursing students on night shifts and weekends would be great. So thank you to both of our presenters. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put our judges into a breakout room. So if I could just ask everyone to just be a little patient while I do that, but also to stay, please, so that we can hear the feedback and the winner announced as well. I'm just going to stop sharing because I can't catch my screen. Now I can get it. Great. So breakout rooms. Okay.
I think the three of them have gone now.
Okay, I don't know. Yeah, great. Thanks for your patience, everybody. What a hassle. Always, if things are going to go wrong. Yeah, so. All right, so I'll let you do your emails, eat your lunch, go off screen, go on mute. Oh, some nice feedback to Sheija and Leanne. Okay, so that recording. So wonderful. Thanks, Mike. You did agree to chair the panel, the judging panel, and provide the feedback to our participants today. So I'll let you take over.
Sure. So congratulations to both of the participants, both really interesting topics. Obviously, there can only be one winner. And so the panel was relatively unanimous on who we thought gave them, I guess, the best demonstration of both current and future impact, because that's obviously one of the major criteria that we mark for. And so we decided that Shija was the winner of the research impact competition in school and nursing midwifery, and suggest that she moves forward to the wider university round. Did you want me to give feedback? Yeah, okay. So I think that Leanne, your research sounds excellent. I think one of the things I would suggest is that it was, you provided the information, but it was done in a slightly different format, a bit more like you would at a conference or something similar. So I would say, with a research impact competition, it's really important to kind of front load everything, because you've really got about 30 seconds to convince people that your research is important. Otherwise, they do start to kind of drift off in the audience a little bit. So I think, what I would have suggested is, it sounds great, Mike, and again, this is from someone coming from outside the area, which is probably really important, is important to say. So I don't know much about nursing at all. But I would say that, start off with something like, imagine you're a nurse or a student nurse and you need to complete this certain number of hours, and you're unable to do that because there's not enough placements, and how difficult would that be to overcome, and how that might affect your career. And so, and then to address this problem, we've come up with this fantastic, program which allows the creation of all these extra placements, and, I guess the impact that's going to have not only locally, but how might you roll that out more broadly, to other hospitals or other areas, and really talk about, I think, focus on, because obviously you get most of the points for impact, so what is the potential impact for that, and how are you really creating the solution to this problem, and the kind of broader implications of that. So I think that would be I think that was kind of the feedback from, I'm not sure if any of the other judges wanted to add anything else, but I think that was one of the kind of key differences. And so for Shija, you did an excellent job, and I think you addressed the criteria really well, which is, obviously you talked about the current impact, which is possibly, still in early stages. Sounds like you've done a kind of a maybe a pilot study, I think it was, and then, but I think really you talked about the potential impact, which is, which is great, and talking about, how this might be rolled out more broadly. You've now got partners like Canteen, the development of an app is great, and like you said, you can roll this out over a number of countries potentially, and I know that's great example of potential impact. I know, because I said the same thing in my research impact competition presentation, because we had a similar idea. The only thing I would suggest is potentially have a think about if you can put the scale of the problem in there somewhere. So I don't know how many young people have cancer, and and what the current treatments are, that mindfulness can address, that the current treatments have some shortcomings. If you've got time, it might be worth, just slipping a sentence or two in there about, how you might, it's always good to kind of get a sense, is this affecting, 100 people? Is it affecting 100,000 people? Because that also speaks to your impact as well, how many people might benefit. So that was my feedback. I'm not sure if Hannah or Anna, you want to add anything else to that?
I think you've done a great job summarising it, Mike. I think you were both great, and I think both your ideas were absolutely brilliant and clever, and have huge potential. Yeah, I think, Mike, you've summed it up. It's around the articulation of the points, and the further engagement and impact beyond the project is a really key part of this competition.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would just encourage Leanne, I think your project sounds really interesting. And I would say, you know, if you're interested, I would definitely put it forward again next year for research impact competition, because I think, you know, you do have, there's such great potential, and it is, like Hannah said, they're really interesting projects. So it's not about the quality of the project, it's just about, you know, meeting the criteria for the competition.
I'd just say that they're both fantastic projects, and congratulations to both. It's a really hard thing to do with your colleagues, is to present and only do it in 5 minutes as well. So, but I think Mike has represented the feedback really well, especially for you, Sheba, taking that on to the next layer.
Okay. Well, thank you, Mike, Hannah, and Anna, and that is great feedback. And I think, Mike, your point to Leanne about perhaps and next year, that would be great to see this being presented, but taking that imagine sort of approach, you know, like imagine you're a nursing student is very powerful, because it is a big thing when you're a nursing student to have to complete 800 hours of clinical in and it is, you know, often it's not completed within the time period that it's out of during holiday periods and things like that. So it is actually a really big, it's a big issue, and it's something that's very important to students as well. So I just wanted to also, of course, congratulate Sheja and Leanne. And as Mike was saying, there can only be one winner on the day, but both Sheja and Leanne will be receiving gift cards from the school. So,
how much?
So, well, for the runner-up, Leanne, it's $100. So for Sheja, it will be $200. So we'll organise that this afternoon. I just need to provide Sarah your names. Oh, Sarah's in the meeting, I think, actually. And so thank you, everybody. Really appreciate your attendance today. The University Research Impact Competition is in the last week in November, first week of October, first week of November, that week that overlaps there. So please, we'll send details of that, and it would be great to have a support team for Sheja. It's usually held at 1 PSQ, so it'd be great to have a support team of from the school for her. So thank you, everybody. And
wait a minute, one minute. Sorry. Can I just say, this is probably Bronwyn's last official duty as a research director.
I'll stop recording.
And I just want to say,